Kids and cadets, welcome back to Tommy Time. I think I'm going crazy. I had gotten this thing a few weeks ago. This is a Crafty. It's a 1999 model year. As you can see, it's in pretty rough condition. It's got a bunch of paint on the deck. When I got this, the handle was actually folded down. The front wheel drive was in op. I couldn't roll it by the front wheels. I had to lift the front deck and use the rear wheels to move this thing. So let me just show you the handle, how rusty this thing is. So the first thing I did was try to break the front wheels, and I was doing a lot of banging, and all this rust came off of the deck. I should have just left it as a boat anchor, but I thought I'd give it a try. If I didn't do anything with it, it was just going to go in my scrap yard and sit there. I wanted to try to rectify it. So I'll give you the model number, and then I'll discuss what was the first issue, and then there was multiple issues. So I think I'm going crazy. This is the engine number, 12 Hilo 807 2632 Echo 1. It's a 1999 model year, January of the 6th day of January. This is the Craftsman number, the 917 number, the Craftsman serial number. So this is an electric start. You can see the wiring there when I showed you the handle. The plastic key is still in place. The wiring is there. I disassemble all of that today. So there was no plastic cover on this. It was just the recoil, and it was dead. And I'll show you why. This thing sat outside. You can see all the rust here. The bolt head here is actually disintegrated. This should be a flat head, and I think a 3/8 bolt head. And I couldn't get a bite on anything on this thing. So what happens is the cup that this sits in fills with water because this sat outside, and it just rusts this whole thing here. So that's a poor design on the Briggs people back then. They should have had 2 small holes drilled in that cup. If people left the machine outside, the water would just drain down the flywheel and down the side of the engine, but it stays in that recoil cup, and it just rusts the shit out of these recoils. So as it is an electric start, it's got a little different sheet metal cut here to allow for the extra switches. There's a micro switch on this side. So I kind of did a little work with my grinder on the linkage on that side to try to make the standard quantum style recoil fit, and I was able to get one to fit this. So since we're talking about recoils, let's talk about the replacement recoil assembly that you can buy. Briggs sells an OEM one, and then there's a ton of Chinese aftermarket ones you can buy. This is an aftermarket one. As you can see, it looks pretty. Pawls spring out when you put tension on the rope. So there's several different part numbers for this. 497680, blah, 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 blah. If you go to repairclinic.com and type in Recoil Repair 497680, they'll do a short 3-minute video on how to repair the recoil, take it off of the housing and put a new one on. I like their videos because nothing's greasy. They use a new machine. The guy doesn't get dirty, and it takes him 3 minutes to do a 15-minute job. I'm impressed with them people. So they pop rivet these at the factory. What you need to do is take a 3/16 drill and drill out the rivet here. You got 4 rivets and this whole assembly will pop off. If you buy the OEM Briggs assembly, they'll give you little nuts and bolts. You can see how the recoil matches perfectly here at each rivet point. So once these are drilled out, you can use your own hardware. Go to Ace, Home Depot, or Lowe's. Maybe bring your recoil in and get some nuts and bolts and washers to fit this thing. And when you put it back together, make sure the rope's facing the back of the recoil, because it sits something like this. You don't want to be kicking yourself in the pants and make the rope pull forward like that. You'll have to go and do a lot of work to reverse it. So that's the only thing you can screw up on, is rope direction. So that's that. I'm going to rebuild this one and put it on the unit if it starts. So I got like 5 of these in stock. I removed the micro switch, the starter, and the alternator. It's just dead weight. Got rid of all this stuff. So this was kind of a pain in the ass. So I put the recoil on, cleaned up the coil. I thought I'd look at the carb. I was just going to happy juice it at that point. I thought I was so far into it, I might as well look at the carb. So I took the carb apart. And that was a disaster. This was all caked up. It would have taken me a while to clean this thing up. So I just went ahead and threw an aftermarket carb on it. There was a little liquid in the tank and the carburetor itself. It's just a bunch of water with white residue. Not a bit of gasoline. I put some junk oil in the crankcase. The crankcase was just showing a little bit of oil on the tip of the dipstick. It had one of these E3 plugs. I went ahead and ground this out against the engine block, no spark, so I put a used Champion in there. So maybe this E3 killed it. They couldn't get any spark out of it and let it sit behind a barn. Air filter disintegrated. So I'm kind of kicking myself in the pants. I kind of got caught up in this thing and just kept going and going and going and going and going some more. So I think we're ready to start it. There was debris in the tank. After I drained that little bit off, I kind of cleaned up the rest of the tank, got that clean. New primer bulb, new gasket, which came with the carb kit, the gasket, air filter to carb gasket, that's new. I can't think of anything else. I think we should gas it and go. If it doesn't start, I'll be kind of bummed. I guess I was a little bit caught up with all the other projects. I figured I'd give this one a go and see what happened. If anything, I'll have a good engine if I don't use this deck. Deck is extremely rough. I was going to tip it over and show you the other side, but you get the big picture. If it's this rusty on the top, the whole bottom side has some rust on it. Okay, that should get us going. This oil here on the deck was from me spilling stuff. It was all this white. It looks like drywall powder. I don't know what it is. Okay, we're priming. We got a good squirt on the prime. Let's pull on this. We got a little bit of oil. That could have been me moving it around. I'm leaving a big oil spot on my driveway. Wow. Kind of surprised this old Crafty did anything. It left a huge oil mark here on my driveway. So I guess all that work this afternoon paid off, messing around with this 1999 Crafty. I don't know if it was worth it or not. This is going to be the lowest budget machine that I'm going to be selling. Somebody's calling me about a mower. So tell me what you think. Should I have not messed with this Crafty? It'll probably be under $100. I'll sharpen the blade, try to get the adjusters here to move. There was so much rust on the drive gears. I really had to bang the hell out of it with a hammer to break some of this rust loose. So what I think I may do overnight, I may put some of this deep creep on it to try to move the adjusters. The front wheels here are way too low to the ground. I want to be able to move the adjusters back. Same for the rear wheels. If I can do that, then I'll be able to sell the machine. I'd be much happier having it go out the door with the wheels in the highest position, or at least have the wheels adjusters operational. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do this right now. 3/16 drill these pop rivets off, and then use some nut and bolt washers and put this on. Whoops. So you got me doing it. It should face the back of the unit. You don't pull it from the front. Anyway, thanks for coming out. That's for the replacement recoils. So we had some success. It was just kind of a stumbling block having the recoil in op to begin with, and you got to disassemble everything. And since I had the recoil off, I might as well went ahead and clean up the coil. It was just one thing after another. So I just plowed through it. Kind of happy it started. It's really a bum deal when they don't start. You spend a lot of time on them, and you got to start over again and figure out why it's not working. As always, please tip your waitress and wait staff. They're doing an awesome job. Let me know what you think of this 1999 Crafty. Have a good day today.